Alright guys, so I think for the very first time, the Stug has received an upgrade. Okay? I don't think that's ever happened before. But the implementation is not perfect. And I'm going to go over that today. As you can see, R3 or right stick click, whichever version you're on, does a charge shot. But of course, it doesn't really matter that much because who uses the charge shot for the Stug, right? So that's not really the issue. But here's the concern. Later on, other weapons might get an Incarnon upgrade that could potentially break the original functionality of the alt fire mode, in which other weapons are a lot more viable and something a lot of players actually use. So this isn't really about the Stug exactly. It's about going forward. Is this problem going to continue, or are the devs actually going to fix this properly? So I've just shown you that the Stug has a charge fire mode, right? This Stug is not upgraded. I had to get a new Stug just to show you this because I did not feel like taking the adapter off and then putting it back on again. Okay, so now we have an upgraded Stug. And as you can see, nothing happens. And now we switched forms. So right now, it looks like the Incarnon mode actually just overrides the original alt-fire mode completely. Okay, so now we have the Vectis Prime. And what I want to demonstrate here is even though this isn't listed, R3 does change the zoom level. It goes from 3.5 to 6. Here's my question. Is this going to operate the same way where once we upgrade it, we lose the ability to change it from 3.5 to 6? That is not known at this time. Okay, guys, we are back in the test room. So I've just upgraded the Vectis Prime. So now we're going to see if we've lost any functionality. Okay, so far the zoom toggle is still works. So now my question is, what about when it comes time to switch Incarnon modes? So I think the Vectis works like I thought the Stug probably would. So although both modes still work, it's still not the best solution, and here's why. Suppose you're not wanting to activate Incarnon mode, but you are wanting to change the zoom level. In that case, that's just not going to work, because when you try to change the zoom level, it's just going to switch Incarnon mode, and then you will be forced to use the Incarnon mode. And for this gun, maybe that's not an issue, but for other guns, it's a different stats and different functionality between the two modes. And so we can't say that it's always better to just use the Incarnate mode. But you do get stat upgrades even for the standard mode, right? So there's going to be a point going forward where this is going to be more and more of a problem because players are going to realize this issue and they're going to say, wait a minute, I want to have the original functionality, but with the Incarnon mode switch added, not replace or altering its original functionality. And that's what should happen. So here's my suggestion. We need to have a toggle that is just for Incarnon mode switching. Leave the alt fire alone. Let alt fire do alt fire things and let a different button change Incarnon modes. So since some players are still struggling with limited buttons on their controller because they don't have premium controllers yet. And also, it would be really nice if they could upgrade this screen to detect additional buttons and let us remap those additional buttons. Like the Elite Series 2 has 4 extra buttons on the back. They could just let the thing see those buttons, and then the controller I'm using now on PC, the Vader 5 Pro, it has 8 extra buttons. But for other players who don't have that ability, we have this, the ability menu. The issue with this, though, is there's only a few things you can do with this. Okay? This is where I think the ability to program changing Incarnon mode needs to live as an option to put it in ability menu or power menu or whatever you want to call it. Then you hold a button down, you press a button on your controller or whatever else, and then that is going to switch your Incarnon modes. And then if you wanted to, if you had the space to put it on a controller button, or if you have a keyboard nearby or even a keyboard attachment that glows onto your controller, which, I mean, those things are great. A lot of us do have those. You can go in and program that on the keyboard side and just have your Incarnon mode on space or something, right? So there's a lot of better options to do this. Because, like, one thing I was thinking about was the heck. Like, if we ever got an Incarnon heck, if that completely replaces the alt fire mode, I think a lot of players would be upset about that. Like, yes, it's great that we're getting an upgraded version, but don't destroy, you know, functionality that it had beforehand. We want to add functionality, not replace it. So I just wanted to get on here and address a couple of things. You know, it's great that we're finally getting an upgrade for the Stug, and I still want a Coda Stug, perhaps. I think that would probably be a good fit for it to be an infested weapon. I think after that, like, we're done. Like, we don't need any more upgrades for the Stug. We can finally have our meme gun that actually does stuff. That's what we always wanted. So you guys let me know what y'all think about this. What do you think about the idea I suggested? And I've also got a video that I made about Steam Input. We're going to be putting that out shortly as well. That thing is a mess.